The Marines called it the Frozen Chosin. The Chinese called it the Second Defensive Campaign. Historians call it one of the most successful fighting retreats in military history. The men who did it do not have a word for leaving behind the people they could not carry. You are 20 years old and you are from Portland, Oregon, where your father manages a lumber yard on the Willamette River. The thing you know best before all of this is the smell of fresh cut fur in the cold morning air, the particular clean sharpness of it, the way it tells you exactly what the wood is before you see the grain. You are a corporal in Fox Company, 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines, 1st Marine Division, in a defensive position on a ridge above the Chosin Reservoir in the mountains of North Korea. The temperature tonight is -27°C and dropping, and the wind is coming off the reservoir from the northwest at 30 kilometers per hour. Your hands inside your gloves are the temperature of your gloves, which are the temperature of the air, which is the temperature of a thing that has given up trying to be warm. Your company commander, Captain Barber, told the platoon this afternoon that the Chinese forces in the area were a screening element, light infantry supporting a withdrawal. He said the division would continue the advance to the Yalu River within the week. He said this the way men say things that come from orders rather than from observation. You are 78 miles from the nearest port, Hungnam, and the only road out runs south through a series of mountain passes. And the mountains on both sides of that road are full of something. You have been hearing it all day, the wrong kind of movement in the wrong kind of places, the sound of large numbers of men who are not moving randomly. You have a pair of your father's work gloves in your pack, brought from Portland on the theory that no military-issue glove had ever been designed by anyone who had spent a winter in the Pacific Northwest. The fingers are reinforced with a double layer of leather at the tips. Your father wore them cutting lumber in weather that would have been considered cold anywhere else. You think about telling him that this is cold. You do not write it down because your pencil will not work at -27. At 2200 hours, the Chinese 9th Army Group attacks along the entire Chosin perimeter. 8 divisions, 150,000 men. Fox Company holds a position on a ridgeline above the Toktong Pass, 14 miles south of the main Marine position at Yudam-ni. There are 246 men in Fox Company. They are there because someone has to hold the pass or the road closes, and 8,000 Marines at Yudam-ni have no way south. The Chinese come up the slope at Iro 200 and Fox Company holds. They come again at Yo 300 and Fox Company holds. By dawn there are 450 Chinese soldiers dead on the slope, and Fox Company has 54 casualties, nearly a quarter of its strength, and the pass is still open. You are not at Fox Hill. You are with the main body at Yudam-ni, 14 miles north, and you know Fox Hill only as a map reference and as the reason the road south is still open, which you understand intellectually without understanding what it cost. At Yudam-ni the perimeter holds through the night, but the perimeter is now a circle with nothing outside it that is not Chinese, approximately 1.5 kilometers across at its widest, with 8,000 men inside it. The temperature on the morning of November 28 is -35°C. The morphine in the corpsman's kits has frozen solid in the syringes. The corpsmen are thawing the syringes in their armpits before they can use them. You see this happen. You do not look at it longer than you need to. The order to withdraw comes on December 1st. Not retreat. The commanding general, Major General Smith, has told the press that the Marines are not retreating, they are attacking in a different direction. The men who hear it do not have a strong opinion about the word. They have an opinion about 78 miles of mountain road in -35, with 12 Chinese divisions on both sides of it, and the opinion is that it needs to be walked regardless of what you call the walking. You step off at 1400 hours on December 1st with the 5th and 7th Marines, approximately 8,000 men moving south on a single road through the Toktong Pass. The road is one vehicle wide in most places. The mountains on either side rise to ridgelines that the Chinese hold and fire from at intervals. The response to fire from a ridgeline is to send men up the ridgeline to take the position and then continue south. Then the next ridgeline fires and you send men up that one too. The column stops and starts and stops and starts, and each stop costs something, and the something is not always the same thing, but it is always something. The temperature at night is -35, and the road is ice, and the vehicles move at walking pace and the men walking move at vehicle pace. And this is how 8,000 men move 14 miles in 59 hours. You learn to sleep while walking. Not completely. A partial sleep, the kind where the body continues its functions and the mind goes somewhere else for minutes at a time, and returns to find the feet still moving, the rifle still present, the man in front still visible. You return from these minutes the way you return from any place you were not entirely, which is gradually and with the understanding that something may have happened while you were gone that you will need to account for. On the second night, a man from your platoon named Reyes, who is from Albuquerque and who plays harmonica badly and at length, sits down on the side of the road and does not get up. Not wounded, not dead. Sat down. You and another man pull him upright and walk him for 2 hours, and somewhere in those 2 hours he starts walking on his own, and by morning he is carrying his own rifle again and the harmonica is in his coat pocket, and he does not play it for the rest of the march. Nobody asks him why. You understand why without asking. There is a point somewhere inside -35 and 59 hours of moving and the ridge lines and what you have seen in the places the column stops, where standing up again is not automatic. Where the body performs the calculation and presents the result, and the result is that staying down costs less than getting up. You have reached that point and gotten up from it twice. You do not know how many times Reyes has reached it. The column passes through positions where Marines have been. You know this because of what the positions contain, and what the positions contain is not something you will describe later in the way that things get described, with the before and the during and the after arranged in sequence. It is something you will carry the way you carry things that have no arrangement, as a fact about the road rather than a fact about anything else. The Marines who are dead cannot be brought. This is a logistics fact. The vehicles are carrying the wounded who are alive. The column is moving at the pace it can move. The dead weigh more than the column can add to itself and still reach Hagaru-ri before the Chinese cut the road again. You understand this. You understand it this way. You understand that -35 is cold, which is completely, with your entire body, without the understanding changing anything about the fact. The word for what you are doing is withdrawal. There is no other word for it. There is also no word for passing a position and understanding from what the position contains that the men who held it long enough for the column to pass, and that this is the purpose the position was held for, and that the purpose was accomplished, and that the men who held it are still there. You keep walking. The road goes south. South is the direction of Hagaru-ri, and Hagaru-ri is the direction of Koto-ri, and Koto-ri is the direction of Hungnam, and Hungnam is the direction of a ship. A ship is the direction of the thing at the other end of this that you are not thinking about yet, because thinking about it is a thing you do after, not during, and this is still during. The column reaches Hagaru-ri on December 4th, 59 hours after leaving Yudam-ni. Hagaru-ri has an airstrip built by engineers under fire over 5 days in temperatures of -35. A 900-meter strip of frozen ground carved from the Korean mountainside that is too short for the aircraft that need to use it and is being used anyway. They are flying out the wounded. You watch the transport aircraft land and stop short of the end of the strip and turn and take off again with wounded men inside them, and you count the aircraft and the count reaches 84. Over the 2 days you are in Hagaru-ri. 84 aircraft carry out 500 casualties. The math of it is that 4,500 men are not walking the next 43 miles to Hungnam. You are walking the next 43 miles to Hungnam. Your hands are functional. Your feet are functional. The left one less so, the toes on the left foot having spent 2 nights in a state the corpsman described as stage 1 frostbite and treated with warming and a look that contained more information than the treatment did. You put your father's work gloves back on. The leather at the fingertips is holding. The column leaves Koto-ri on December 8th and reaches Hungnam on December 11th. The last Chinese attempt to cut the road happens at a bridge over the Funchilin Pass that the Chinese have blown. The engineers build a replacement bridge from sections flown in by aircraft, 4 sections each weighing 2,300 pounds, dropped by parachute into the mountains of North Korea in December, assembled in -35. The column crosses it and the bridge holds and the column crosses, and at some point the mountains stop being mountains that have Chinese in them and start being mountains that do not. This change happens gradually and then completely, the way most things that have been one way for a long time finally stop being that way. 17 days after the Chinese 9th Army Group attacked along the entire Chosin perimeter, 15,000 Marines and soldiers and their equipment are at the port of Hungnam. The final count is 836 Marines killed, 12,000 wounded or with cold injuries, approximately 2,500 missing. Missing means what missing means. You sit on the dock at Hungnam and you look at the East Sea and the ships in the harbor and the mountains behind you that are still full of Chinese divisions that did not stop the column. You take off your father's work gloves and you look at your hands. The leather at the fingertips has held through 17 days and -35 and 78 miles of mountain road. Your hands are the color of old leather themselves now, the same tan as the gloves, the cold having done to them what cold does to things over time, which is to make them look like what they have been through. You put the gloves back on. There is a ship. The ship goes south and south is still the right direction, and you have been walking south for 17 days, and your feet know how to keep going in that direction even when there is a deck under them instead of a road. The fir trees in Portland smell a particular way in cold air. You think you will be able to smell it again. You are not certain, but you think it.